Welcome to this tutorial on NASDAQ 100 versus SP 500, where we will explore the key differences between these two prominent stock market indexes and determine which one performs better. First, let us start with the basics. The NASDAQ 100 is a stock market index composed of the 100 largest and most actively traded non-financial stocks listed on the NASDAQ stock exchange. On the other hand, the SP 500, also known as the S&P 500, is a stock market index that represents the market value of 500 large publicly traded companies in the United States. One of the main differences between the two indexes is the composition of the stocks they track. The NASDAQ 100 is heavily weighted towards technology stocks, with companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon making up a significant portion of the index. In contrast, the SP 500 is more diversified, with companies from various sectors such as healthcare, finance, and consumer goods. Another key difference is the market capitalization of the companies included in each index. The NASDAQ 100 tends to have larger companies with higher market capitalization, while the SP 500 includes a mix of large, mid, and small cap companies. In terms of performance, the NASDAQ 100 has historically been more volatile than the SP 500, with higher highs and lower lows. This is largely due to the dominance of technology stocks in the index, which can be more susceptible to market fluctuations. However, over the long term, the NASDAQ 100 has also tended to outperform the SP 500, with average annual returns of around 20% compared to 15% for the SP 500. To illustrate this, let us consider a practical example. Suppose you invested $1,000 in the NASDAQ 100 and the SP 500 at the beginning of 2020. By the end of the year, your investment in the NASDAQ 100 would have grown to around $1,500, while your investment in the SP 500 would have grown to around $1,200. In conclusion, while both the NASDAQ 100 and the SP 500 are important stock market indexes, they have distinct differences in terms of composition, market capitalization, and performance. The NASDAQ 100 is more heavily weighted towards technology stocks and has historically been more volatile, but has also tended to outperform the SP 500 over the long term. As an investor, it is essential to understand these differences and make informed decisions based on your investment goals and risk tolerance.